Welcome to the Vybrational Stage Podcast. I'm Paul Shepardson. This week we've been exploring a challenge that countless successful professionals quietly carry with them every day. A challenge that often remains invisible because from the outside, everything appears fine. The projects get completed, the responsibilities get handled, the deadlines get met, the career continues moving forward. Yet beneath the surface, there is often a private struggle. The mind never stops. Planning, analyzing, problem-solving, preparing, rehearsing, anticipating. And somewhere along the way, many people begin asking themselves a single question. Why can't I shut it off? At first glance, this appears to be a problem of stress management. But what if it's not? What if the inability to shut the mind off isn't actually the problem? What if it's pointing us towards something much deeper? Today, I want to explore that possibility with you. The hidden trap of mental preparation. Most successful people didn't become successful by accident. They became successful because they learned how to think ahead. They learned how to anticipate problems. They learned how to identify risks. They learned how to prepare. In many ways, those skills created their success. But there's a hidden danger. The same ability that helps us navigate the external world can slowly become our default way of existing. We begin preparing for conversations that haven't happened, preparing for outcomes that don't exist, preparing for problems that may never occur, preparing for futures that are entirely imaginary. The mind starts solving problems 24 hours a day. Eventually, preparation stops being something we do, it becomes who we are. And that's when exhaustion begins. Not because we're working too hard, but because we're carrying realities that haven't happened. The moment awareness appears. There's a fascinating moment that occurs when someone says, "My mind won't stop." At first, it sounds like frustration. But hidden inside that statement is something remarkable. Awareness. Think about it. If you can observe your mind racing, then something within you is already separate from the racing mind. The observer is not the thought. The awareness is not the anxiety. The witness is not the story. The very act of noticing creates a space between you and what is happening. And in that space, freedom begins. Not because the thought disappears, but because you stop confusing yourself with them. Why this changes everything. Many people spend years trying to control their thoughts, trying to eliminate negative thoughts, trying to create positive thoughts, trying to think differently, trying to stop thinking altogether. But what if freedom doesn't come from controlling thoughts? What if freedom comes from recognizing thought? The moment you become aware of a thought, you are no longer completely identified with it. You can see it, question it, evaluate it, or simply allow it to pass. Awareness gives you that option, and options create freedom. The beginning of self-empowerment. This is where the conversation becomes incredibly important. Because awareness doesn't just change your relationship with thought, it changes your relationship with life. Many people unknowingly live as victims of their own internal narratives. The mind says, "I'm stuck, I'm overwhelmed, I never figure this out, I'm too old, it's too late, I don't have what it takes." And because those thoughts feel real, we begin organizing our lives around them. But awareness introduces a profound possibility. What if those thoughts are simply thoughts? What if they are not facts? What if they are not predictions? What if they are not your identity? The moment that question appears, self-empowerment begins. Because now you're no longer reacting automatically. You are choosing consciously. The transformative question. This brings us to the question at the center of today's conversation. If you are not a victim of your thoughts, What else might you no longer be a victim of? Pause with that for a moment, because that question extends far beyond stress. If you are not a victim of your thoughts, perhaps you're not a victim of your past. Perhaps you're not a victim of your circumstances. Perhaps you are not a victim of your fears. Perhaps you're not a victim of your assumptions. Perhaps you're not a victim of the stories you've been carrying for years. Perhaps you're stronger than you've been led to believe. Perhaps you have more choice than you realized. Perhaps there is more freedom available than you imagined. Not because life suddenly changes, but because your relationship to life changes. Closing. The purpose of this conversation was never to teach you how to stop thinking. The mind thinks. That's what minds do. The invitation is something much simpler. Notice, become aware, observe, because awareness creates space. And in that space, freedom appears. And from the freedom comes self-empowerment. Not the empowerment that comes from controlling the world, but the empowerment that comes from realizing that your thoughts do not own you. You are the awareness in which those thoughts arise. And perhaps that realization changes more than just your relationship with your mind. Perhaps it changes your relationship with your entire life. Thank you for joining me on the Vibrational Stage Podcast. Until next time, remember, you may be far more powerful than the stories your mind has been telling you. Continue the journey with a VSP number 3. This week's conversations have revealed something powerful. Many of us have spent years trying to solve the problem of overthinking by finding better strategies, better habits, or better ways to manage stress. But what if the real breakthrough isn't found in controlling your thoughts? What if it begins with the discovery that you are not your thoughts? That realization sits at the heart of VSP 3. I become exhausted by my own thinking. This newest installment in the vibe shift solving process is not designed to teach you how to stop thinking. Instead, it is designed to help you experience something many high achievers have forgotten is possible. The experience of space, the experience of awareness, the experience of realizing that thoughts can exist without controlling your life. Most importantly, VSP number 3 helps you explore a question that has the power to transform far more than your relationship with your mind. If you are not a victim of your thoughts, what else in your life might you no longer be a victim of? Because the moment we stop believing every thought deserves our attention, we begin reclaiming our power, our freedom, and our capacity to choose. VSP number 3 is available now in the Vibe Shift library. Continue the conversation. If today's episode resonated with you, you'll find deeper reflections, practical insights, and expanded conversations throughout the Vibe Shift blog. Each week we explore the hidden struggles many successful professionals experience but rarely discuss openly, and offer a different way of relating to those challenges through awareness, self-empowerment, and lived experience. Visit the Vibe Shift blog. Follow the link in the show notes. You can also connect with us through the Vibe Shift community on Facebook or reach out directly to the vibeshiftconnect@gmail.com. Remember, you are not broken. You are not stuck, and you may be far more powerful than you realize.